Everyone's been told at some point or another that if you want something badly enough, you're gonna figure out a way to go and make that happen. And we call that motivation, right? But what if motivation has been given more credit than it deserves for us getting stuff done? Let's talk about that today. So here's what happens with motivation. We get told that if we just want something, we will find a way to overcome the obstacles and make it work, to put in the hard work and make that thing happen. I see that with my clients when they feel guilty about themselves not being able to get their homework done, not being able to study for a test, not being able to change habits around substance use, or being angry, or any number of things. And this is where it's really helpful to make a distinction that motivation is not the end-all be-all when it comes to us getting stuff done. There's a hidden component that we don't talk about enough that some theorists call mental energy. And as opposed to what we call motivation, that's just the wanting piece. That's the I want this to happen. But there's also a mental energy component that is not just about the mental process of wanting something, but also the physical and chemical process of there being energy for our brain to use in the planning and the action steps to make that possible, to make that wanting a reality. So here's a big distinction that we need to make. Motivation does not equal mental energy. And so what it boils down to is you may have the motivation, you may have the wanting something to happen, but if you don't have the resources physically to be able to carry that out, then it's not going to happen no matter how badly you want it. And here's a big key, especially for populations like college students. This is affected by physical processes such as inflammation. If we talk about inflammation being a drain on our energy resources, that brings a lot of problems into light, a lot of habits that we can change to help improve our energy, be able to improve the motivation in combination with our mental energy that enables us to get stuff done. So we talk about not sleeping well, not eating well. Those are all sources of stress that puts our body in an energy negative state. We're draining more energy than we're putting in, and that makes it really hard to get those things done that we want to. So in addition to those kind of concrete step-by-step habits that we can use to increase our stores of mental energy in combination with our motivation, I also want to talk about a tool that we can use every day to improve our mental energy and help us get the things done that we need to get done. This tool is called mental contrasting, and it's been around for a while, but I don't think it gets enough press for how helpful it can be. So there are 4 steps to this. Step 1 is wish, and this is where we need to let our imagination roam. We need to be able to envision, what do I want? What is my goal? What is my dream scenario in this case? Maybe it's earning an A in the class. Maybe it's losing a certain amount of weight. Maybe it's changing my relationship with alcohol. We have to first identify what I want and then let my imagination run with it. What would that look like? And then that bleeds into the next step, step 2, which is outcome. If and when that actually happens, when that goal is achieved, what would that look like? What would that feel like? How would I feel about it? What does that mean to me? Why is it important to me? And this is super important for building up our mental energy, because when we're excited about something, when we have a vision to move towards, that is energizing for us. So step 2 is super important for this process of gaining that mental energy to move towards a certain goal. Third step is obstacles. And this is where we can pump the brakes on the fantasy world of the imagination and start looking at, okay, what stands in the way of me making this happen? If it's grades, maybe there are a certain number of papers I need to write. Maybe there are tests that I need to study for. Maybe it's attending class is difficult for me. So now I'm listing out, okay, these are the things that are standing in the way between me and my goal. And being realistic about it. This part is supposed to be grounded in reality. The final step, step 4, is planning. This is where we take those obstacles that are in the way of our goal, of our imagination, of our dream, and then figuring out, okay, what can I do to work my way around or through those obstacles? And this part, most importantly, is now possible because we've built up that store of mental energy that we can actually do the planning instead of letting the obstacles drag us down. What also happens is now when we run into those obstacles for real, we've already rehearsed and thought of a plan for how we're going to work around it. It's not new anymore. It's not a surprise anymore. And this makes our goals so much more achievable and works to give us that little bit of mental energy that we might need to get started, to get motivated, as it were. And like with all mental health practices, please recognize this is not a hack. This is not a quick fix. This is a skill that takes practice. Because anyone who might be trying this technique for the first time, you have wired your brain to think a certain way over thousands of repetitions over time of thinking a certain way about work, about change, and what we are practicing is rewiring that. And so the first time that we do it, it may not feel like anything. It may feel fake, it may feel ineffective, but over time, as we practice more and more, what happens is the neuroplasticity of our brain allows that process to actually start working, to become more habitual. And so think of riding a bike. At first it feels awkward, feels weird, uncomfortable, and once that habit starts to click into place, that's when it becomes effective. We don't have to think about it anymore, and you never forget. Everyone, thank you so much for checking out this video. Really appreciate your views. Please go ahead and like and subscribe. That helps us to continue to grow as we continue making more content for you all. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you all next time.